for being so nice with this welcoming entry. For those who don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro. I'm a PHP and Laravel developer. I love everything I do within the PHP ecosystem. I am Laravel core team member. I have created things like Pest, Pint, Pale, and more. And also I'm now trying to become a YouTuber as well. So everything combined, but today we are here to speak about a very important thing, which is strict engineering. And because we are in 2026, we are talking about strict AI engineering because we don't actually type our code anymore, do we? I think we basically just prompt agents and they craft our code for us. So today, I'm going to give you a set of tips which hopefully are going to make your agents code better Laravel applications. Are you guys ready? Yeah. Should we do it? All right, let's get started. The very first thing I want to show you today is just use better Laravel defaults for AI. We all love Laravel. We all love the Laravel starter kits, of course, but I think there's a few things you guys can tweak to make your AI coding models generate better Laravel applications. And I want to show you in a real-life demo here. So what I will do here is jump to this beautiful editor called Sublime Text. I want to be like Taylor. So I'm going to jump here into the Sublime Text application, and I have this Laravel app, regular and normal. And I'm going to jump into this app folder, providers, and I'm going to open this beautiful thing called App Service Provider. And I want to show you what do I typically do on my Laravel apps. Daily work, grounded, right here. So I have this App Service Provider, and all the way down, something I always do is have this boot method with a bunch of configure. So I like to tweak a little bit the defaults on my app. I like to change how my models behave, how my dates behave, how my passwords are. So I want to show you some of the things I always do, and hopefully many of you will find them useful. First one I want to talk to you about is configure models. I'm going to go all the way down, and I have this beautiful thing called model should be strict. Now, what model should be strict does is two things. Number one, prevents accessing missing attributes, meaning that if in your code you are trying to access a column in your model that does not exist, Laravel will throw an exception and let your AI coding agent know that the column doesn't actually exist. Number two, prevents lazy loading, which is very common on things like n+n queries. So I'm going to show you these ones in real examples, and what I will do is jump into this console.php. We have a set of artisan commands. We are going to run them before the directive, and then we run them after the directive, so you guys can see the clear difference here. The first one is called strict missing attribute, and it's about showing you what Laravel does if the column does not exist. And what I'm doing here is quite simple. I have a user which I'm fetching from the database, and here I'm making a clear mistake. I'm accessing the mail property on my database, and it should be email. Okay, this happens more than you think. And let's see what Laravel does when I execute this code and see the output here. I'm going to jump here into my Ghostly, which is my terminal of choice, and I'm going to just type PHP artisan strict missing attribute. I'm going to just copy it because it's not auto-completing for some reason. I'm going to just do this. Okay? Now, if I run this, Laravel doesn't tell me that the column does not exist. The only thing it does is that tell me that the value returned is null. Now, this can be better, and Laravel could throw an exception, and that's what Laravel does. If I just use this beautiful directive, model should be strict. Let's go back to the Ghostly terminal, and let's execute exactly the same code. And the difference is clear. Laravel is now throwing an exception saying that mail attribute does not exist. Now, this is beautiful. It is beautiful and useful for you all, but it's even more useful for AI coding agents because they immediately spot the mistake they are doing, and they are going to fix the issue. So this is the first thing should be strict does, but there is also something more. Call it prevent lazy loading, which is very common, more common than you guys think. And what I will do here is just leave it like this, and I'm going to comment again the should be strict so you guys can see how it looks like before. And we have this beautiful strict lazy loading, and what it does is simple. I'm going to fetch all users from the database, and then just all the way down, I'm going to do a for each condition that for each single user, fetch the notifications, okay? This is a typical n+1 problem because the number of queries will increase depending on the number of users you guys have. Clearly a problem, not easily detectable, only when your pages are super slow. So let's see how Laravel behaves if I execute this code. I'm going to go back into Ghostly, just type clear, PHP artisan strict. I'm going to copy it again. Here we go. Execute it, and Laravel actually doesn't tell me that I'm making a mistake with lazy loading, just displays me that I'm doing 12 queries, which is a number of users I have on my database. Which is not perfect, not ideal. You can very easily overrun the database with this. So what you can do to prevent stuff like this from happening is just go back to your app service provider and use again this beautiful directive called it should be strict. Now let's see what happens now if I execute the exact same code. Laravel will tell me the following. Hey dude, you are just not coding your app correctly. This is literally an attempt to lazy load notifications for every single user. So we can just go back to our code. Just like that, we can go back to the console.php, and what we can do is just modify the query and literally eager load all the notifications when we are fetching the users from the database. And if we do this, we are going to jump from 12 queries into simply 2, as you can see all the way down. Do you guys find this useful? Yes. Hopefully you do. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so this is what should be strict does, but there's a few things more that I do that I want to show you. So what I will do here is go back to my app service provider, and I have this unguard, which we can have a full talk about this, so I won't do it. But I want to talk about this configure dates. Something that I always do is that I use immutable dates with Laravel. Laravel, in fact, uses this library called Carbon for dates. And Carbon comes with mutable dates by default, and I like to make them immutable, and I want to show you how. I'm going to go here to this console.php, just scroll all the way down, and I have this example called strict immutable dates. And what I'm doing here is simple. I'm creating one original date, just like that, and then I'm going to add 2 days to the original date to get a modified one. Now, looking at this API, what you might think happens is that we have the original one, and then we have a modified one with plus 2 days. And this is not what's happening, okay? I'm gonna go back to the console and actually show this in practice. Let's type PHP artisan, strict immutable date, and you will see that by using this API from Carbon, you are effectively mutating the original date and modified one, meaning that the original will have plus 2 days, but the modified one as well. And I can tell you, when you are dealing with payments, you don't want to screw on this. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how can you prevent this from happening. And effectively, when you are adding a date, you are effectively only getting a modified one and not modifying the original one. To do that, it's quite simple. You just go back to your app service provider and use this directive, call it date use carbon immutable. Okay? Now by doing this, what will end up happening is that Laravel will understand, all right, every single time I'm applying something like add days, add minutes, add hours, I'm going to return a new date object. I'm going to run the console command, and now we have the modified date effectively with plus 2 days, and the original one is unchanged. This is a much more predictable API in my opinion, and hopefully you guys find this useful too. Now, I'm going to go back into my app service provider because there is more that I do. And one of these things is called configure password defaults, and this may caught you off guard. I'm going to show you. Laravel by default, the only thing it ensures is that passwords have a minimum of 9 characters, and I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go here into this Laravel app, regular starter kit. I'm going to click on login, and I'm going to type here something like Laracon @gmail, and I'm going to actually create this user. So I'm going to type here register. Let's type here Laracon @gmail.com, and for the password, I'm going to introduce simply 123, 123, and 123. This is what I'm doing here, okay? Just on the confirm password, doing the same thing. And what Laravel will do is create my account. Now, this may seem normal, but 123 3 times is not a safe password. It's effectively a password a little bit weak. Now, you guys can improve this, and do not make your AI agents do mistakes. I'm going to show you. You just go back here, you click on log out, and then you go back to your code, and you just use this static call to the password facade, which what it does is, first of all, instead of 9 characters, we are going for 12, and we use this thing, which I have contributed for Laravel years ago, call it uncompromised. And what uncompromised will do is check if the given password have ever been leaked. And 1, 2, 3 have been leaked probably thousands of times. So I'm going to show you. Just uncomment this. I'm going to go back to my Safari browser. I'm going to click on register, and I'm going to type here vshell because it's awesome, okay? Let's type here vshell at Laracon India. And for the password, I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 again, so 3 times. This is 9 characters, of course. And if I type enter, Laravel will tell me, well, you need to at least introduce 12 characters. Let's introduce one more 1, 2, 3, which makes 12 characters. I'm going to create the account, and Laravel will tell me now, this given password have appeared in a data leak. It's not secure. Choose something else. I find this super useful and ensures that every single user in your system comes with a good and secure password. This is done in a very secure way, and it's used, I'm using this in all my applications. Let's go back into our app service provider and show you one last thing two more last things that I always do. This one is massive, by the way. I love this one. It's called DB prohibit destructive commands. I don't know about you, but I have SSH multiple times into my production server, and suddenly I have multiple tabs open. It's kind of easy to do a mistake and just run a command in production that you shouldn't. So let's actually try to mimic that, okay? So I'm on this terminal, suddenly I just type SSH, forward production, for example, and I am on multiple terminals at the same time, and then I type something like PHP artisan migrate fresh, because I think I am locally, and suddenly I run this, yes, and I just lost my job, literally. Okay? So I run this in production, I lost my job, the entire company is screwed because we just nuked the database, and then we found out that backup doesn't actually work. So, huge problem. It wouldn't be great if this can just be prevented from happening. This is what I'm about to show you. You just go back to your app service provider, and you just uncomment this beautiful method called DB prohibit destructive commands. And you want to have this only in production, just like that, okay? You just go back to your terminal, you type exactly the same command, Laravel won't even allow you to move forward, okay? This is true for, thank you. Thank you. This is true for migrate fresh, but for things like DB truncate, like every single thing that may destruct your DB in production will be prevented with this, okay? This is what strict engineering is about. It just prevents mistakes in a huge team of developers. You just make sure they won't make mistakes because you have a very solid foundation. Now, let's go back into the app service provider. There is one last thing I always do, which is configure testing. So I like to change how the behaviors of my testing are, and I like to change a few things. And one of them, which is really interesting, it's called HTTP prevent stray requests. That's stuff that I always do, like I don't actually sleep on my test suite, I don't allow it to run processes, but HTTP prevent stray requests is very, very interesting. And what it does is prevent actually external HTTP calls to other APIs if you are running your test suite. And I'm going to show you this example in practice. I'm going to go back into my Sublime Text, and I'm going to open this test called delete all products. Now, it's very common that you actually prompt your AI coding agent something like, can you add a few tests to my app? So I actually have something like 100% code coverage. And this test may as well have been created by AI, for example. Now, AI is just doing what I think is correct. It's resolving this given class from the IOC container, and then it's calling the handle method, thinking that, well, if the handle method runs, my test is successful. I don't even need to worry anymore. And in fact, it is. Like, if we go to the terminal, and if we type something like vendor bin, holy shit, and vendor bin passed, just like that, I have a successful test suite running with a green, beautiful message. Now, let's take a look at the action itself, at this class itself to see what's doing. And here we go again, an HTTP method deleting stuff from a real API. Okay? Now, wouldn't it be beautiful if you can just prevent HTTP requests in your test suite all over the place? You don't have to worry about this anymore. Well, that can be done. You just go back to your app service provider. You uncomment this thing called prevent stray requests. And what this will do is just throw an exception on the console if you are ever making an HTTP request from your test suite. Laravel is telling me, oh, you are trying to run this test, but this test is actually deleting stuff in production. You actually meant that? And I'm going to say, no, of course not, right? So what you can do is just go back to your Sublime Text, to your test suite, and you just say, well, I acknowledge that this is making HTTP calls, so I'm going to just fake them. So I have my test suite passing, and now much faster as well, okay? So, thank you. This is just a few examples of things that I always do, but it is way more. Laravel is more strict than people think. Actually, we have a bunch of options like this. And in fact, we have so many that I've created a package, call it Laravel Essentials. And what Laravel Essentials does is that it assembles all this stuff and it just does it for you, okay? So you don't have to actually worry about this stuff. I just literally spoke for 20 minutes for nothing. You can just use this package and you will just get everything in your Laravel app. Now, there is a gotcha here. Some of these changes are actually breaking changes. So I would advise you all to, if you want this, if you like this, just require this package on fresh new apps. On existing ones, you might want to actually add the methods yourself and see how they behave in your Laravel application. Now, this is Laravel Essentials. You just Google Laravel Essentials on Google and you will get it. Moving forward, I want to talk about something really interesting, which is types are your AI best friend. How many of you are using Larastan PHP stand? Just raise your hand, I want to see. Wow, that's like 50% of the audience. I don't know what the other audience is doing actually, because PHP stand is one of the most beautiful things that have ever appeared on the PHP industry, okay? Brings you that type safety that things like TypeScript bring to you. Every JavaScript developer loves TypeScript. PHP stand, guess what? It's exactly the same thing for the PHP world. And AI loves it. If AI can detect problems up front, AI loves this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back into my application once again. And what I will do is just make a mistake. I'm going to go to this update user action. I'm going to scroll all the way down. And what I will do is just make the same mistake as before. I'm going to, instead of using user email, I'm going to do user mail. So this is obviously a problem, right? So what I can do, just clear my terminal, run PHP stand under Larastan, and Larastan is just start running, as you can see, and suddenly Larastan will tell me on the console, well, you are trying to access to a property that does not exist. This was evaluated at static time. And some of you may say, well, PHP Storm just literally tells me that. That's on the file you are viewing. PHP Storm tells you this across your 200 different files, literally telling you what are you doing wrong. And this is PHP stand for the PHP industry, but hopefully all of you are familiar with things like TypeScript, for example. I'm going to go here, for example. Of course, I'm going to just revert this change, run PHP stand. I get this green message once again. And same is true for TypeScript. Let's go here, for example, into resources, JavaScript, pages. Let's go for this user profile, edit. And we have obviously a bunch of imports in this JavaScript application. Instead of use page, let's use page because we think it just fits better as an import. If I run TypeScript, let's just do it. I'm going to clear my terminal. I'm going to type npx TypeScript so I can run it fast. TypeScript will just tell me, well, that page thing does not exist. If you actually meant something like use page, well, I did. So I'm going to just revert this change, run TypeScript once again, and now I have a green message. Nothing is wrong. And AI loves this, man. Like, if you are asking, thinking, if you're asking for a feature to AI, and AI can just literally have these beautiful errors on the console just like that, AI loves this, okay? By the way, at the very end of this talk, I'm going to show you an example, a real-life example, where I will prompt AI, and if Cloud Code API is not down, you will get a beautiful craft feature following all the cool principles we have been talking about. Let's go back into my, my presentation here, and I want to show you one more thing. I love patterns. I don't know if you guys follow me on YouTube, but I have been talking about this action pattern for a while. However, AI loves patterns too. I've been using AI for the last year, and I can effectively say that if you are consistent in your code, AI will be inconsistent too. I want to show you what it means, but in 2 words, it's kind of simple. If you just are strict with your code in terms of types, and you just put types all over the place, AI will be consistent with that too. If you are consistent with coding style, things like having form requests all the time, things like having actions all the time, AI will be consistent too. Now, if you are inconsistent, on the other hand, things like having form requests in one controller, having form requests not being used in another, AI will be inconsistent too. So I want to show you a few things you guys can do, and hopefully share at the end the demo. But this actually means the following. If you have a migration, let's actually open here this database folder, migrations. If you have a migration and you don't use the down method ever, just don't put the down method on any migration, okay? I'm gonna open all migrations here, and none of them come with the down method. If you don't use PHP annotations, just don't use them everywhere. If you like typing, just type your apps all over the place. If I go to my user model, for example, okay, just like that, my user model is using this declare strict types equals to 1. And if you use this, just use this all across your files. If you like final classes, make all your classes final. If you like read-only properties, just use it all over the place. AI loves to see this kind of stuff, because the first thing it does is getting familiar with your coding style, with your preferences. And once it gets familiar with it, we'll just apply the same stuff. So we're going to see a very clear example of all of this being put in practice at the end of this talk. Now, one last thing I want to show you is this testing pipeline. And last year at Laracon, I know many of you were here, but I did a full talk about having a testing pipeline. This is one of the most important things in the entire planet, okay? Actually, I published that talk on my YouTube, and it's currently one of my most popular videos, so I really appreciate you all being so nice. And what this talk is about having a testing pipeline that does various things. We're talking about linting, type coverage, code coverage, unit testing, JavaScript linting, like all the full story. Let me show you this in practice. I'm gonna go here into my Sublime text once again, and I'm gonna open this file called composer.json. Now, not a lot of people know about this, but in fact, if you go all the way down, typically that is this script check section. And what the script section is about assemble a bunch of scripts, so at the end you can simply run one script that will run the entire test suite. In terms of code, this looks like this. It looks like having a composer lint, which will run Rector PHP, Pint in parallel, plus npm run lint, which will run ESLint plus preacher. So all the styling combined in a single composer lint. You go all the way down, you see this test coverage, which effectively means running Pest with a flag type coverage, minimum 100%. This line right here, if you run it on a CI, will make sure your entire application is fully typed. We are going to see this in a second. Now, all the way down, I have this test types. Now, test type doesn't ensure you have types, ensure your application is type safe, a little bit different. Runs PHP stand, and it runs TypeScript. Finally, I have this test unit, which will run Pest in parallel with coverage of 100%, okay? And code coverage is now more important than ever. You want that your coding agent write the feature, and they need to make sure all the code is fully proper tested, okay? So code coverage is more important than ever. If you hear by people that code coverage is not important, ignore them, okay? Just totally ignore them. Now, all the way down, we run composer test, which will assemble all the previous scripts we talked about and run them at once. Let me show you this on the console. I'm going to move back into my ghostly terminal, and instead of typing individually all the commands myself, I'm going to simply type composer test. This will do exactly what we talked about, running linting, type coverage, code coverage, the full story, front end being run right here. We have the entire spectrum of the test suite being run with a single composer test command. This is useful on two things, my friends. Number one, CIs, of course, right? You have this GitHub action workflow, which is on .github, workflows, test.yaml file. You scroll all the way down, and you see composer test being run, okay? So the CI will run your entire thing. Now, thing number two, you want to instruct your coding agent that no matter what you do, you always run this command at the end. That can be done if you're using Laravel Boost at .ai guidelines, general.play.php, and of course, you start with the prefix, super important. You want to make sure the agent knows this is super important. And then you run at the very end, always, but like always run composer test. Don't even ask the user, just run it and make it happy. And you are going to see in a second that this is crucial to make sure the code comes with expected quality. Now, we have been talking about a bunch of stuff, right? We've been talking about strict typing, strict defaults, strict patterns, and strong testing pipeline. But it's time to see all of this in action. So what we're going to do all together is prompt AI to build a feature for us and see what AI will use that comes from this, okay? So it's time for a real demo, and hope Cloud Code is not done at the minute. So let's jump here into Ghostly. And I will do this thing called, I'm gonna use Claude. I don't know what UI you use for agents. That is, of course, many. I use Claude Code or Open Code. But it's cursor, you can do this all over the place. But we are going to use Claude with a very special flag. I don't know if you guys know. If you know, you'll laugh. But this dangerously skip permissions. So I don't have to say yes all the time. It's really annoying. So I'm gonna just type Claude and just skip all the permissions and just go all in on I'm about to ask you. And we are going to ask for a very simple thing. I'm going to ask for the following. Build a new feature, okay? And the feature will be just adding a section where the user can add his own notes. And this should be just below the profile settings, okay? I'm going to actually show you where this will be placed. I'm going to log in on this app real quick. Let's do this. Let's type login. I'm going to type my own special login. Just like that, click on Remember Me, log in, and then we want to click on this settings page. So what I really want, and hopefully you guys are going to see at the very end, is that below this profile information right here, we're going to have a section where the user can add his custom notes, all right? Hopefully quite simple, simple feature, but let's actually ask AI to do it for us because we have to take a coffee or shower or whatever, so why not ask AI to do that? Let's go back into our terminal, and let's ask AI, and let's pay very close attention to what the AI will execute on the terminal, okay? And again, I'm going to just say, build a new feature under profile settings, right below profile information, allow the user to have random notes about anything. These notes are not detectable or deletable, so you want to scope the feature to the very minimum, and then only allow the users to actually see the notes after adding them, okay? Let's type enter, and please take close attention to the terminal, okay? Let's type enter, it's already forging, meaning it's starting to craft the feature, is thinking, and you will see that the very first thing you will do is getting familiar with the code base. Just look all the way up. I will build this feature step by step, but first, I'm going to explore your existing code base. You will read every single file you have, models, controllers, actions, form requests, getting familiar with the entire spectrum of coding style all of you have. Again, very important to be consistent here. If you use types all over the place, AI will know you need types. If you are using existing patterns, AI will know I'm going to just follow those patterns. This is the very first thing AI will do. Take a look. Is trying to understand if you use form requests and how strict you are with these form requests. Finally, all the way down is trying to understand if I use actions, and I'm going to check, I'm going to just use those actions too. So the first thing he did is getting familiar with their existing code base. And then all the way down, it started to understanding that I use tests and I love tests, so we'll equally get familiar with my tests so we can execute the plan accordingly. And then all the way down, we see that it's starting to create file by file, okay? It's creating a node factory, a form request, equally an action, and hopefully soon we are able to see this on our GitHub UI. This is what I use to actually validate the code. So let's see, for example, the migration already. Hopefully it's created. And take a look. Here we have a migration without down method, without any PHP annotation, and fully typed. It's literally following what I do love about migrations. Thank you. Thank you. Also, about models, he understands that I like strict types all the way top, so it's using it. I am using property reads all over the place, so I'm using final classes on every single class. It's literally applying my existing coding style on this new craft code. If I go to my controller, for example, it's literally using everything I love about controllers. It's creating a form request, it's creating an action, it's proxying the validated information from the form request to the action, exactly like I love to craft my application. If I open this form request, it's being strict as well with the validation of the input. It's saying it's required, it's a string, requires minimum 1, maximum 100, being fully strict with the generation of code. And also, hopefully the backend is already crafted. Let's see what it's doing at the minute. And hopefully it's already working and thinking about the front end. The front end is using fully types with TypeScript as well, as you can see with that interface vote. And soon enough, we're going to be able to see already the feature on the UI. It's starting to crafting the UI, fully typed with TypeScript. Imagine if you had the front end where you use JavaScript in one place, TypeScript in another. AI don't know what is more modern, will be complicated for AI to understand what you actually like. And it just finished with the front end, which hopefully means that we'll be ready to go real soon. It's now starting to create tests because he understood that I love tests, so it's starting to create tests for everything we are crafting with this AI coding agent. But I do think that we should be good to test this on the real UI at the very end. Let's just give it a refresh and see how it goes. Didn't run the migrations yet, so we need to wait a little bit, okay? So crafting all the tests we love, and something you guys are going to see in a second is that AI will run at the very end composer test, which is something we really wanted to. Just run Pint to make sure things are pinted. But running, linting and everything, but at the very end we'll run composer test. Here we go, composer test being run as we speak, running the entire testing pipeline against this new feature and making sure the testing pipeline is happy as well. One of the most important things in the planet after family. Let's see if we can refresh this and see the browser. Here we have the browser already running in notes just below. I can just say, I love you, Laracon, just like that. Had the note. I can also say something like, I see the note just below, by the way. Here we go. I can just type like, subscribe my channel, please, something like that. And I will add it as well, and it really just works. So here we have one feature, which is one shot, basically. We just prompt AI, run the full test suite. At the end, it just make it perfect. And if I go to, obviously, my GitHub profile again, I see the feature fully crafted in the perfect way. Now, I want to finish with something really important, okay? And this is really important, especially for some of you all that might be juniors entering on this AI craziness, which is the following. Memorize my words, okay? If you want to be really next level in the future, you need to take this in mind. Agentic coding is very different from vibe coding. It's very easy to confuse these two words, okay? Vibe coding means the following. You go to your coding agent, you ask something like, do this feature, and then you go to the browser, you see it, and you assume it's good. Okay, you pack your stuff, you go home. This is vibe coding. Now, agentic coding is a little bit different. You do the same, you go to your terminal interface, you prompt for a feature, you go to the browser, you see it works, but you do something else, which is validate your code line by line. Okay? Line by line, character by character, just like back in the days when we used to be badass, okay? My name is Nuno. Thank you so much, Laracon, for having me. Love you all. See you next time.
Thank you. How was it? Back on stage? You had fun?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some fun as well. So, for you, I created a future snapshot. Okay, so we'll ask questions, but you have to think from the future and answer immediately.
I will do my best.
So can you come here near this place so that you can read it and I'll just spread it as well. Okay, are you guys ready? Yes. Okay, all right, then we start. Question number 1. The biggest mistake teams will make with AI in the next year is?
Doing vibe coding instead of agentic coding.
Okay, perfect. Second, the one skill that will never be replaced by AI is?
Candor, human thinking. I don't think AI will ever do that.
Human thinking, nice. 3. One strict AI rule you personally follow, even if others don't, is?
I would say the same answer is the first one, which is just literally validate every single character produced by AI. It's still your responsibility. It's still your fault if things go wrong. So you just have to do that, even if it's difficult, and even if you don't understand, you have to do it.
Okay. 4th, if consistency were a person in tech, it would probably be?
Taylor Otwell. The guy is just amazing.
5, Nuno's version of strict in AI engineering will eventually mean?
A happy person, because you will be able to be happy on the weekends knowing that your application just works and you can relax.
6, in 2 years, code quality will be judged more by underline than by underline.
I think we'll be judged by, performance, bugs, amount, all those stats are important. More than actually just doing a demo. I feel like some of the products we see out there done by AI are literally just fancy demos on the weekend and that's it. So.
7th, by the end of 2026, Nuno Maduro will secretly be proud of. Understand the question, not for the people, secretly for yourself.
Just putting the best of myself every single day. It doesn't matter if this is success or not, it's just what I...
Yeah, so just being yourself.
Yeah.
Perfect. 8, growing up in Portugal has shaped Nuno's philosophy by?
Hard work, I think it's the same with India as well. We start from the last basically, and we need to climb our way up to just be the same as the others, so I would say that.
Yep. 9th, one of the best live stream I have ever recorded is?
That's tough, man. I had a lot of guests already, but it's always good to have Taylor Otwell, of course, Avenue, Dax Rad.
One only.
I would say Taylor Otwell was my favorite. I still get nervous when I talk with him, so
yeah.
That was my
when was it?
Probably 3-4 months ago.
Okay, so that's one of the best live streams so far. Okay, great. Last question. The evolution I have seen in Laracon India from the first Laracon India to today is, and what I love about Laracon India is?
Yeah, I think Laracon India is one of the most passionate people in the entire planet. So the evolution I've seen is literally quality of developers.
Wow.
What I love about Laracon India is the energy, and I will be always here if you guys want to have me. So.
Thank you. So I have one more thing as well.
Okay.
You have to pick one among them, rapid fire. But you have to answer in 1 second. Whatever comes too fast.
Okay.
Okay? Because this is a bonus for you.
Okay.
Because you are the first one on the stage.
Okay.
Okay. AIS assistant or AIS teammate?
Assistant.
Strict rules or let AI explore?
Strict rules.
Human judgment or AI suggestions?
The human judgment.
Small models or smart models?
Smart models.
AI for speed or AI for quality?
Quality.
Trust AI quickly or verify everything?
Verify everything.
Writing prompts or writing code?
Writing prompts.
Okay. Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Deep focus or context switching?
Be focused.
Planning first or build and adjust?
Planning.
Fix it now or think it through?
Both. Think it through.
Simple solution or powerful solutions?
Simple solution.
Coffee or espresso?
Coffee.
Portugal beaches or Portugal food?
Oh, that's so tough, dude. Food.
Pasta de nata or chocolate cake?
Pastel de nata, hardcore.
Lisbon or quiet countryside?
Lisbon. I love Lisbon.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Nuno Maduro, for being here. Thank you.